I spend quite a bit of time trawling the internet for information when making these videos, and that includes looking through photographs. Some I steal, sorry, I meant borrow. I borrow some photographs, and I use some of them in making the videos. But I came across one that I saved, but I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at. And I've seen it quite a few times when I'm trawling through my little collection. And it was only this weekend, a couple of days ago, when I was putting together the video about George Harrison's childhood homes, that it's actually a very, very interesting photograph. So I'm going to ask you, where's this? This is where that photograph was taken, and it's Hunts Cross, and it's the junction of Higher Road, which is in front of us leading into the distance, Speak Road on the left, which leads to Woolton, Wood End Avenue on the right, which leads to Speak, and the one that this person is stood on is Hillfoot Road. So this person has taken the photograph. It looks slightly elevated to me. It's looking down on the scene, so I'm not quite sure what they stood on. But if it was today, he would probably be in the middle of the road. There's shops there now to the right. On the right hand side there's shops as well, and houses. But let's go through what's actually in this photograph. So on the left there is a workers' yard called John Lucas and Son. I have no idea what they used to make, and I don't remember that yard being there in my lifetime or in my journeys to Hunts Cross as a 5-year-old going to Kingstone. But that yard now is where the bank building is. Now the bank is no longer a bank, but it started out as a bank, and it was purposely built as a bank. I think it was it Martin's originally, and then turned to NatWest? Someone will know. The large building with the chimneys is the original Hunts Cross Hotel, and that was there for a long time. Now where the man is crossing Speak Road to the left between John Lucas's yard and the hotel, there are railings on that corner, and those railings used to be around the cross in Hunts Cross. So all these roads were widened. Higher Road was widened, the one this photograph was taken from. Hillfoot Road was widened, Wood End Avenue to the right was widened, and this part of Speak Road was also widened. When they did that, they moved the cross to its location where it is now, which is probably just to the bottom left of this photo. So this photograph, I think, was taken in the 1930s, and I'll tell you why when we take a walk up. The other little landmark in this photograph is to the top right. In the top right quarter there's a building there, and that was Tushingham's shop. Rita Tushingham, the actress, that's her father's shop there. I think he had 3. I know he had one in Garston, he obviously had one here, and I seem to remember one near Garway at the shops on Hunts Cross Avenue. I'm pretty sure they had a shop there as well, Tushingham's. So that marks the junction, that shop there marks the junction with Higher Road and Mackett's Lane. Right, let's take a walk along and do some reminiscing. We'll come back to this photograph as we take our little walk. This is where the original Hunts Cross Hotel would have stood. It was demolished and this shopping precinct was built. The building behind the white van there, I think, started its life as the Hunts Cross Hotel, and it's had various names throughout its lifetime. So we're walking down Higher Road now, and on the opposite side are some houses, a housing estate, and just to the right is the row of shops which are on the corner of Higher Road and Woodend Avenue. Now these houses here are not in the photograph, and behind these houses is Kingsthorne Road, where Hunts Cross Primary School now stands. Back in my day it was called Kingsthorne School, Kingsthorne County Primary School to be exact, and I would have thought that would have been in the photo as well. So let's look at the photo again. This is the part of this photograph that we're looking at, and it's just an expanse of grassland by the look of it. So these houses would have been here, and behind the houses is Hunts Cross Primary School, which started out as Kingsthorne County Primary School. I'm not quite sure if this photograph is wide enough to the right hand side to actually see the school, or whether the school isn't actually there. But the school was built in 1939, and I get the feeling that this photograph was taken prior to that, because I think you would see some of the school in this photo. I read a book and I gave it a recommendation a few months ago. It's actually on here if you have a look. It's called Would a Man Return? And the person who wrote the book moved to this area in, I think, 1940, if memory serves me right, or 1941, and he went to Kingsthorne School when he was 5 years old. So that's something around about 1943, I think, and the houses weren't there then. You could see the school from the road, and I think at this point this area was used by the army, because obviously we're basically in war years. And it was used by the army as some kind of depot for fuel. That's the memory I have from the book. And I think somebody else actually said that when we were talking about Hunts Cross once, that there was a depot here for the army. So these houses would have been built after the end of the war, which was 1945. So the school was built in 1939, and it's basically right on the beginning of the war, and the houses were built after the war finished. This is now the junction of Higher Road and Mackett's Lane, and this is where Tushingham's shop would have been. Rita Tushingham's dad had a shop on this corner, and would have been here where these houses are now. And this is a photograph which was taken from roughly the same place, showing the shop. Just before we go, there's another photograph, and it's entitled The Roundabout, Hunts Cross. Now, I've spoken to people who remember this roundabout. Personally, I don't. It's traffic lights now. It's possible it was there in my lifetime, but I can't remember it. But this photograph shows the bank building, so this basically answers my question. It was called the Westminster Bank when it first opened, so that probably became NatWest. This is taken from the shops, so the shops were built as well as the bank building, and I've tried to recreate the same angle, but different cameras, different lenses make things look different. But the old Hunts Cross Hotel is still there on the right hand side, and these three little girls are stood outside the shop. Now, just around the corner there, to the left, would have been the butcher's where George Harrison used to deliver meat from to houses in this location. So this is we're actually stood on Wood End Avenue looking towards Speke Road, which would take you to Woolton. Not quite sure when this was when this photograph was taken. I'm going to guess 1950s. Right, thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch up soon.